Hey folks, Eric Curry, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock Lake. It is Tuesday, November the 21st. Been on the water pretty much every day this past week. As you can see, I'm at Taneycomo today. Been on Table Rock the last 3 days. And the bite is improving. Starting to catch some more fish. They're not really moving shallow, but we are starting to catch quite a few more fish. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 915.4. The Corps has been running water, well, the last 3 days they've been running water pretty much non-stop. Not a lot, about a half a generator to a full generator. Every once in a while they'll kick it up to 2, but they have been running water. They are drawing the lake down, trying to get it down to 915 by December 1st, which is when it's supposed to be a normal winter pool. As far as our water temperature is concerned, we're still warm. Yesterday, started the day at 58.5. Time we got off the water, it was all the way back up over 60, almost 61. So, water temperature is not really dropping, even with these colder nights. We got a real cold night coming up tonight, so it might drop a little bit overnight. But for the most part, it hasn't moved a whole lot. We're still upper 50s, low 60s. But if you guys are coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, got several bites going on right now. Probably the best bite by far, though, is still a drop shot rig. Out on those long gravel points and gravel flats, anywhere from about 25 to about 40 feet deep, using the shad shape worm, using the Yamamoto cut tail worm, using the Chompers drop shot worm, and using the new UV drop shot worm. All those baits are working really well. Again, 25, 30 feet deep. You'll see 1 or 2 on the bottom, and these fish are glued to the bottom. You hook one, set the hook on it, the bottom will blow up and you'll see a lot more fish come up. Other bite that's working fairly well is a Jewel Pro Spider Jig, 5/16, 7/16. Seems like those fish are more relating to rock than they are gravel. Anywhere you've got kind of a channel swing type bank where it breaks down from big rock to small rock, right where that transition area is, really seems to be where we're catching the fish on a jig. Kind of that ledgy rock too really seems to be working well. 5/16 and 7/16. Okeechobee Blue's been a good color. Table Rock Secret, Green Pumpkin Candy. Seems like on most days I'm catching them with a Zoom Speed Craw as a trailer, but every once in a while you'll get a cold front day and you got to switch up and throw a beaver on there. I've been throwing the Sweet Beaver on there, or even the Sweet Whisker Beaver on there, and doing better with that on post frontal days. Other than that, haven't really been catching them real good on a crankbait or spinnerbait down on the lower end, but we are still catching quite a few fish. Drop shot bite's been really good. Had a great day on Sunday. Had a 4-hour trip and we caught over 50 fish. So really good drop shot bite. The bite's getting stronger every day, and I think that bite will only get better as the water cools off and as they get the lake closer to a normal pool for this time of year. And go up into Kimberling City. Jig bite's a little stronger in Kimberling than it is down by the dam. Caught a lot more fish on a jig this week. Jewel Pro Spider Jig, 5/16, 7/16, Okeechobee Blue, Green Pumpkin Candy, and Peanut Butter and Jelly were all my best colors, matched up with the Green Pumpkin Speed Craw. Really seems like that is the combination that's working best in the Kimberling City area. Again, those fish are on those transition areas where it goes from big rock to smaller rock, all the way to gravel, and around boat docks. Caught a lot of fish around boat docks this past week. So make sure if you're going to be in the Kimberling City area, you have a small jig tied on, preferably a spider jig, working around those boat docks and working around those transition areas. Caught a few on a Ned rig this past week as well up that way. Not exactly sure why they're eating a Ned rig right now, but they are. Caught quite a few on a Ned rig. Same sort of areas where it transitions from rock to gravel. Most of these fish are 8 to 15 foot deep. Some of them a little bit deeper, but most of them are about 8 to 15 foot deep. Again, on those transition areas. Drop shot bites working up that way as well. Did really well with the shad shape worm, Yamamoto cut tail, the new UV drop shot worm, and the Chompers finesse worm. And again, those drop shot fish are on those long gravel runouts out there 25, 35, even 45 foot deep, but catching a lot of fish. They're glued right to the bottom. You'll hook one, you'll see a bunch of them come up. So make sure you're watching your graph out there, but you will catch a lot of fish on a drop shot rig in the Kimberling City area as well. And then the crankbait bite's a little bit better there. Caught a few on a rock crawler this past week. Again, it's more of those transition areas and transition points where it goes from big rock to small rock. Seems to be where those fish are holding when you're throwing a crankbait. And most of those fish are 10 foot deep or less. Wind really helps that bite. If you've got a little bit of wind blowing on a transition area, it's worth your time to go down it with a rock crawler or a wiggle wart and bang it off the bottom. You got to make sure you're making bottom contact to get a bite, but we did catch quite a few doing that earlier this week in the Kimberling City area. Go up into the James, and the jig bite is definitely great up the James. Most of the fish I've been catching up the James have been on a jig. Have caught a few on a drop shot as well, but it seems like most of them are coming on a jig. Most of them on those transition areas, just like they are everywhere else on the lake, going from big rock to small rock down to gravel. Right where it's kind of gravel and rock mix, especially if there's some ledge rock mixed in there, really seems to be key. 5/16, 7/16 pro spider jig, matched up with a J-tail or matched up with a speed craw, either one. Okeechobee Blue's been really strong. Table Rock Secret's been a real good color up that way, and so has Green Pumpkin Candy. But all those colors are working. 5/16, 7/16. Most of the fish are 5 to 15 foot deep. Seems like they're a little bit shallower early, move out a little bit deeper as the day goes on. Have been catching a few towards the backs of the creeks on a buzzbait. Not enough that I'm going to say, hey, go throw a buzzbait, you're going to catch a limit doing it, but you can catch some fish towards the backs of the creeks, especially if you find some bigger shad back in there. You start to see some gizzard shad towards the backs of the creeks, you will catch some fish on a buzzbait back in there. I've been throwing a black with a black blade and doing very well with that back in there. You know, you're not going to load the boat, but you will catch some fish on a buzzbait back in there. And then a crankbait. Did pretty well with a rock crawler up there too. Those fish seem to be more secondary points in the bigger creeks, like Ants Creek, Little Ants Creek, Woolly, Piney. Those creeks seem to be better with the crankbait. And again, it's on those transition areas where it goes from rock down to gravel. From about 7 foot to about 12 foot deep seems to be where those fish are. And make sure your crankbait's hitting the bottom. Got a little wind on it, definitely want to fish a crankbait on any of those transition areas up the river. And go up into the white. The white is really good right now. Drop shot bite up the white is probably the best anywhere on the lake. Seems like we're catching better and healthier looking fish up the white than we are anywhere else on the lake. A lot bigger Kentuckies up the white than we are, say, down at the dam or in Kimberling City. Anywhere from about Baxter up to about the mouth of the Kings really seems to be the best area for me. Again, they're on those gravel points and on those gravel runouts, 25 to 35 feet deep, eating a shad-shaped worm, eating a Yamamoto cut-tail worm, eating the new UV drop shot worm, and eating a Chomper's drop shot worm. Dropping it down, see one fish on the bottom, you'll hook one, the bottom kind of explodes, and you usually catch 3 or 4 before they settle back down. But a drop shot rig's been really good up the White River. Jig bite's been really strong up the White River as well. Jewel Pro Spider jig and 5/16, 7/16. Okeechobee Blue's been my best color, but I have caught a few on Green Pumpkin Candy and a few on Peanut Butter and Jelly. Green Pumpkin Zoom Speed Craw's been my best trailer by far. I have been putting a little bit of orange on the trailer, on the pinchers of the trailer, and that does seem to get you a few more bites up the white, so make sure you're doing that. And again, those fish are on those transition areas, again, just like they are anywhere else on the lake, where it goes from rock to gravel. And most of them are 5 to 15, maybe 20 feet deep, but I really haven't had to fish that deep with a jig. Most of them are in that 5 to 15 foot range. And then the crankbait bite. If you've got a windy day, you got some wind blowing on a transition area, it's worth your time to go up there, throw either a rock crawler or a wiggle wart, work it out from about 7 foot out to about 12 foot. You're more or less parallel on the bank, and done fairly well up there, especially on windy days. It seems like those fish really want the wind so they can move up a little bit shallower, and they'll chase those moving baits. Haven't really thrown a spinnerbait up there much. I'm sure if you get the right day, they'd eat a spinnerbait just as well as they would the crankbait. But we have been catching them on a crankbait when we get a little bit of wind on those transition areas. So it's a good idea to have a crankbait laying on your front deck. Guys, it is almost Thanksgiving, 2 more days. And I tell you what, the weather's beautiful today. It's about 60 degrees, sunny, a little bit of cloud cover. Just got done with a trout trip and we caught the heck out of the trout. It was really fun. But there's really going to be some good fishing coming up. I'm looking forward to December. I mean, water's finally going to get right that we're going to be able to catch them on a crankbait. We're already catching them deep, and that deep bite's only going to get better. And I really think if we get a little bit of cold weather, we will start to see a really strong stick bait bite here in the next month or so. But got a lot of openings in December right now. If you guys are thinking about coming down, wanting to hire a guide, Maybe you want to learn how to fish deep, maybe you want to learn how to fish crankbait, or you just want to learn how to fish a jig, or just go out and catch fish and have fun. Whatever you want to do, we can go out and do it. But if you're thinking about hiring a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com. You can either shoot me an email or book online. Remember, we are going to run winter rates all the way through February, so you can save $50 on a guide trip. But anyway, if you guys are thinking about coming down, you want to go fishing, maybe you're coming down for the holidays, whatever, give me a call. We'll get out, we'll catch some fish, we'll have a good time. But thanks for watching the videos. Take a minute to subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.